Hello my lovely viewers, and you're back on my channel Epic English Tutorials, and today I'm here on a special request because I came to know through your comments that many of you are having your TLS pedagogy exam in the first week of April, and you've requested me a lot to upload videos, detailed videos about standard 1, standard 2, standard 3 and standard 4 categorically. And thanks a lot for showing so much of appreciation and encouragement in the form of comments which you do on my videos, and you send me emails on my channel's email ID by telling me that you like the way how I explain. So what are we waiting for? Let's dive into the video and see what standard 2 is all about. I've shared a lot of interesting techniques, that is mnemonics, that how you can remember particular theories. If you've learned the mnemonic, then learning a theory will not be a problem with the help of that particular acronym. So let's dive into this video and see what I have in store for you. So before we proceed, let me explain you what this video is going to be all about. I'm going to focus on a detailed explanation of what standard 2 of the TLS pedagogy exam is all about, and then I'm going to individually explain all the topics for you, because I felt really happy when I woke up today. I saw one of the viewer, she commented on my video that she found the first video very helpful and she's confused about where to get the material and notes about the second standard. So here I am with a detailed explanation of everything which is a part of standard 2. Hope it's going to help all my teacher colleagues, all my teacher friends. So let's get started. So before we proceed, just a humble request, please subscribe to my channel because I'm new on YouTube and I need a lot of subscribers. My hard work seems to be rewarded when all of you comment on my videos that it was helpful and you like the notes that I provided in my slideshow. So what are you waiting for? Just press the subscribe button, hit the like button and become my permanent subscriber. Let's move on. So let me explain you what standard 2 is all about. This slide I have explained fully in my first video. I'm going to leave a link in the I button and description box as well. You can refer to that where I've explained everything in detail. All these things have been explained in that video, so you can refer to that. I'll not waste much of time here because each of these things I've explained in the coming slides individually. So without any further delay, let's dive into the video. If you want to know about this slide in detail, I'm leaving a link in the I button. You can refer to that. So what standard 2 is all about? Standard 2 is about professional knowledge. So first part of the standard knowledge demands you that you should have professional knowledge, which includes three elements. You should be able to demonstrate knowledge of learning, development and diversity, which can be measured by the following performance criteria. You should have the knowledge of developmental stages. Now there are many theories about developmental stages. For example, there is Erikson's theory. If you look at this, this theory says stages of psychosocial development. The name is stages of psychosocial development. It starts from infancy, where you face these problems of trust versus mistrust. Then you move on to the early childhood, where you face autonomy versus shame and doubt. And then you move on to the stage of preschooling, which is called initiative versus guilt. So what you all need to do is you need to have a detailed information of this theory. You need to learn all these stages, because how the questions are asked in the exam, for example, they'll be giving you a scenario that a student in grade 4, let's say grade 4, is having these difficulties, and so what is the stage? So you have to identify the stage, whether it's preschool, whether it's school age or adolescence. So according to the question mentioned, you have to identify the age. Like we got a question about young adulthood, a scenario based question was given and we had to identify that which age is that. So it was intimacy versus isolation. So you need to have a thorough knowledge of this theory, and in case you know, so you'll be able to identify the scenario, and according to the scenario you can identify that this is adult age. So this is how you should prepare for standard 2 by learning stages of psychosocial development. Try to memorize all these things in detail, all these stages, and a few of the traits that have been attributed with these stages. In case you are having difficulty in memorizing all these stages of this learning theory, then what you can do is you can learn it with the help of this mnemonic. Look at the mnemonic, it's T, A and triple I. T stands for trust versus mistrust, A stands for autonomy versus shame, I stands for initiative versus guilt, and second I stands for identity versus role confusion, third I stands for intimacy versus isolation, and then you can learn G and E. G stands for generativity versus stagnation, and ego versus integrity. If you have learnt one attribute related to this, then you won't forget it. And how you can memorize all these stages, keep this mnemonic in mind, T A triple I. T A triple I. So if you know what is T for, what is A for, and these three I's for, then you won't have any problem. After that, G, G for generativity versus stagnation, and then finally E for ego versus integrity. Then hopefully you won't have any problem in learning these stages and their attributes. So if you look at Erickson's stages of psychosexual development, so what are the few of the traits that you can they can help you to keep them in your mind? First stage is called trust versus mistrust. As I told you, just memorize the letter T. First stage is trust versus mistrust. So what happens in this stage? If needs are dependably met, infants develop a sense of basic trust. For example, just keep this in mind that a child has a very dependable relationship with his mother, and why he's only familiar with his mother but not other people. Keep this intact, this memory in your mind. If such a question comes, relate to this scenario that a child, he only trusts his mother. If some friends come over and they want to cuddle the child, they want to mix up with the child, but the child doesn't feel free to mix up with them. Why? Because there is trust versus mistrust. He trusts his mother because he observed that the mother is fulfilling all his needs, but he doesn't trust the strangers or the newcomers in this house, in his house. That's why he has mistrust with them. So this is the stage of trust versus mistrust. So this is how you can memorize that a child builds a relation of trust versus mistrust. Whoever fulfills his demands, he builds a trust with those people, like his parents, his siblings. Whereas the strangers he doesn't know, they are not trustworthy, so he goes through a feeling of mistrust with the newcomers, new people. So memorize this stage. Our next stage is autonomy versus shame or doubt. So what happens in this stage? Toddlers learn to exercise will and do things for themselves, or they doubt their abilities. So you've seen in this age, a child develops certain things. For example, a toddler, he would try to get down from the bed on his own. He would try to get down from his rocking chair on his own. So he wants to experiment things. So he will exercise and do things for themselves, for himself. And they doubt their abilities. Sometimes they are experimenting to check whether they can accomplish a certain task or not. For example, you've seen most of the children, the first task they always start to do is they want to get down from the bed, they want to get down from their rocking chair, so they want to jump. So while trying only, they start walking also. While trying all these things, they start walking. So this is how the phase of autonomy versus shame and doubt happens. Once they are able to accomplish the task, they feel confident. Once they are not able to do the task, so they feel either shameful, or they have a feeling of doubt that okay, they can try it, so they must give it another try. So this is how you can memorize the attributes of this stage. Next is initiative versus guilt. Preschoolers learn to initiate tasks and carry out plans, or they feel guilty about the efforts to be independent. So in this stage, what happens is preschoolers learn to initiate tasks and carry out plans. They start doing things on their own, or sometimes they feel guilty about efforts because they are not sure whether they'll be able to do it or not. Next stage is industry versus inferiority. So children learn the pleasure of applying themselves to tasks, or they feel inferior. So what happens? First, they think that they can enter in any avenue. They can try out tasks on their own, so they have the pleasure, they have the feeling of pleasure that they are capable of doing something independently. If they are not doing, if they are not able to do that, obviously they feel inferior or incapable, that they are still dependent, they still need someone to guide them or help them, they need a ladder to step on, they need a scaffolding. So you can remember this stage with the help of these attributes. The next stage is identity versus confusion. Teenagers work at refining a sense of self by testing roles and then integrating them from a single identity, or they become confused about who they are. So in this stage they are going through a feeling of identity versus confusion. So teenagers work at refining a sense of self by testing roles and then integrating them from a single identity, or they become confused about who they are. So teenage is very confusing because they work at refining a sense of self. They test different roles and then integrate them to form one single identity. That's why sometimes they are confused, because they are offering so many roles, they are exhibiting so many duties. They exhibit the duty of, they perform the duty of a child, their parents' duties. They, after that they are a student as well, after that they have their friends as well. So they are multitasking in different roles, the role of a child, the role of a son or a daughter, the role of a friend, the role of a student. They are linked to teachers, they are linked to their friends, their siblings. So there are multifarious things that they are related to. So this is why this stage is called identity versus confusion. So they are confused about who they are. Our next stage is intimacy versus isolation. Young adults struggle to form close relationship and to gain capacity of for intimate love, or they feel socially isolated. In this stage, what happens, that young adults, they struggle for close relationship, and they form strong intimacy with their best friends. Usually you've seen that teenagers, when they reach this age, they have a particular relationship of trust with their best friend. Every teenager must be having one or two best friend or a group of friends. They have a strong bonding because this is the stage where they need to develop intimacy. And some of them who are not able to be an extrovert, they end up being an introvert. They end up being in isolation because they are not able to build that intimacy with their friends. So this is how you can memorize this stage. In case of success, they develop intimacy. In case of failure, they develop a feeling of isolation. Next stage is generativity versus stagnation. The middle-aged discover a sense of contributing to the world. In this stage, you want to generate, you want to give something to the world. So that's why it's called generativity. You have done something in your career and you really feel that you can do something for the world, and usually through family, work, and they may feel a lack of purpose. Stagnation comes when you are stagnant at a point and you think that you are not giving up to the society or to the family, and you get stagnant there, you get stuck there. So this is how you can memorize this trait. And the last one is integrity versus despair. When reflecting on this his or her life, the older adult may feel a sense of satisfaction or failure. So there are two cases. Once you've reached the peak of your life, and when you look back, when you reflect, so you can either feel very good about it, that you've been able to deliver something to society, so you feel have a feeling of integrity. In case of failure, you feel despair, you go through a feeling of despair that you haven't been able to do anything satisfactory in life. Next, you have a demonstrate the knowledge of learner diversity. You should have a knowledge of learner diversity. And what is learner diversity? It's the domain of diversity of learners, which emphasize the ideal that teachers can facilitate the learning process in diverse type of learners by first recognizing and respecting individual differences. So basically, learner diversity's knowledge means that you should have the knowledge of different learners in your class. There are people from different backgrounds, so you should have immense knowledge about their background and their learning styles. For example, in a diverse classroom, you can have students from different nationalities, or you can have students belonging to different learning styles. So this is what learner diversity is. Based on the identification of their learning style, you will be able to cater the student's needs, and you will be able to handle his problems in a satisfactory manner. How can you do that? For example, you can have the knowledge of learner diversity with the help of this diagram. For example, if a student is picture smart, if a student learns with the help of picture, then you can say he's a visual learner. If a student learns with the help of songs and music and singing, so he's music smart. So you can say that musical aids help you to learn, to make the student learn in a better way. Then bodily kinesthetic. If a student learns with the help of hands-on experiences, so you have that student is body smart. Then if a student learns with the help of groups or friends or peers, that means a student is people smart. You can tag this with these pictures in mind. If he's people smart, then he's interpersonal. He learns through interpersonal skills. He wants to be engaged in group activities with his peers, or at least pair work. Word smart. If a student is verbal or linguistic, then he learns through words. He is very vocal. He wants to speak in the class. He wants to participate in activities by speaking out. So such people are called word smart, and they are called verbal learners or linguistic learners. Then logic smart, logical and mathematical. If a student is very good at giving rationalizing things or giving logic, he must be learning through logic. You can present a lot of logics to him to learn scientific concepts, to learn mathematical concepts. Similarly, some students are nature smart, so you can call them naturalistic. You can engage them in field activities. So this is how they can learn, by getting engaged with nature. Some students are self-smart, or they learn through intrapersonal skills. They are independent, self-sufficient, and they don't need extra help. Also, you can easily learn it with the help of this diagram or this slide. For example, for kinesthetic, who are the kinesthetic learner? Who are body smart? You need to engage them. They need to move their body in different activities. They need to move their hands. Unless they move and experience the things with their hands, with their eyes, by touching, by seeing, by walking, they won't learn. They are body smart, so they are kinesthetic learners, and you need to involve them in different activities. Then you have linguistic learners who are word smart. They learn with a lot of logical explanations, with a lot of they need words to memorize things in their memory. So that's why you call them linguistic learners. Linguistic comes from language, so they are word smart. Then there are logical smart. They learn through numbers. You need to give them facts and figures. They learn through logic. For example, if you get a question in the exam that a student of grade 10 is given things to learn, but he learns with the help of facts and figures. Which sort of learner is he? So he's a logical or number smart learner. You can recall this. Another student, if you see interpersonal, are people smart. They love to learn in the company of other learners. They love to learn in the company of their friends. So interpersonal means people smart. Such students are people smart. They feel comfortable when they are in a group of friends or with peers instead of being alone. Or intrapersonal are individual learners. They are myself smart students. They only like to learn alone. They are self-sufficient and independent. Then you have musical smart. They learn with the help of a lot of rhymes or music involved. And then you have visual learners or spatial learners who are picture smart. You need to show them a lot of visual things. You need to show them a lot of visual aids with the help of which they can tag those pictures in their mind. And lastly, there are naturalistic learners or nature smart. Engage them in with nature, field work, take them out. They love to learn when you take them out and engage them in different activities. Next, we had a lot of questions about what are the 5 core skills. So you can say that there are 6 levels of performance in the 5 core skills. The first core skill is called learning. Second core skill is called reading. Third core skill is called writing. And then we have oral communication. And the last core skill is numeracy. So you can learn them with the help of the mnemonic R for reading, W for writing, O for oral communication, N for numeracy, and W, that's it. So if you write this mnemonic here, R, W, O, N. So 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So learning, first is learning. So this makes 5. So this is your mnemonic. With the help of this, you can recall L for learning, R for reading, W for writing, O for oral communication, N for numeracy. So keep this mnemonic in your mind about the 5 core skills, L, R, W, O, N. So core skills are 5 skills that are key to learning and working in today's world. They are identified by employers as skills most likely to be needed in the work environment. These are the 5 core skills that are required. They are communication, numeracy, information and communication technology. So that was all from my side. I'll be uploading another video tomorrow about Bloom's taxonomy. We got a lot of questions about Bloom's taxonomy. I would advise you to learn about that. And I'll also be uploading all my notes about Bloom's taxonomy tomorrow. And also I have some material about UAE. So I'll be uploading that as well. Hope it's going to help you. I would just request you to subscribe to my channel for more informative videos. In future, you'll have to appear for IELTS exam as well. I've uploaded plenty of informative videos about IELTS writing and speaking, and they're definitely going to help you. So please, what are you waiting for? Subscribe to my channel and become my permanent viewer. I'll meet you in my next video. Take care.